Wait, what do I usually? How do I usually intro this? I can't even remember.
Hello, everybody.
I love it. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Soldiers of Cinema podcast. I am Clark Coffey, and with me, as always, is co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Cullen McFader. What's up, buddy?
Yes, co-host. I'm good. How are you?
Wait, is that a bad thing? Is co-host?
No. I was laughing because there's this internet show called On Cinema at the Cinema by Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington.
Oh my gosh, I know Tim. I don't know the other guy.
It's like the best show ever. It's like been running for like 12 years now. But
oh wow! And what's
they
this
do
called
basically
again?
this like it's like a parody of like the Siskel and Ebert. But when that kind of thing started happening online and people like it would just be two guys on an awful green screen talking about movies, trying to be Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
And they're parodying that, and that's kind of what it started out as, and now it's branched off into all this crazy stuff. But
Oh my!
The joke is that the one guy who's been hosting it, Greg Turkington, who's been hosting it with Tim Heidecker for 12 years now, is always referred to as the guest host.
Yeah.
So,
I got you.
I just
Okay.
popped into my mind when you said co-host.
Wow,
You know,
that was one of the longest digressions
Little segues.
we've ever had, and we haven't even gotten through the introduction
No,
of the episode
exactly.
yet. But I'll have to check that out. And as I was introducing you, I felt so bad because I introduced myself first, and I feel really like full of shame and guilt for that, and I apologize.
No, I'll never let you live it
It's
down.
so rude. I apologize, not only to you, but to everybody out there. I feel like I'm a bad role model for everyone. But hey, today's our 50th episode, man. What do you think about that?
I think that's insane.
I can't believe we made it to 50 episodes. You know, I don't even remember when we started doing this, but it was like, didn't we start?
I think it was like August 2020, maybe.
Was it? I thought it was even. Was it before COVID, or did we do? I kind of.
I think
remember.
we started in COVID. I think.
Did
it was
we start in
during-
COVID? I mean, look,
yeah.
like the world has been just like off axis. I feel like everything's been weird. I can't even judge time anymore.
I mean, if you think about if you think about things that you did at the beginning of COVID, sometimes I think about that and I'm like, that was during COVID. Man, this has been going on for a long time.
It's been going on for a long time. So, but we made it. We are at our 50th episode, which is like just blows my mind, and it's been like a really fun journey, and I'm happy that we've gotten to take it together. It's been really fun to do these, and what we're gonna do is mix things up a little bit this time. So, you know, when we started off our first handful of episodes, we stuck to a really small niche of discussing Werner Herzog's Masterclass. And we kind of used that as a jumping off point to discuss film and kind of film philosophy. And, you know, it was really Werner Herzog centric, and which is where you and I met, actually. And that was a long time ago.
It was
That
2016.
was definitely pre-COVID. So that just like my brain just explodes when I think that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But
That's
we met.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, we met taking that class and like having, you know, we had discussions like every couple weeks, and we actually there's a group of us that still kind of sticks together from that class, and that's turned out to be really wonderful. And then we kind of shifted into covering a new film. And kind of breaking it down, analyzing it, just kind of like talking about the things that interested us about it. And we've kind of been alternating back and forth. You pick a film, I pick a film. We've been doing that for, I don't know now, 10, 15 episodes, something like that. So we thought we might do something fun for the 50th episode, where each of us have picked five movies that are special to us in some way, or that we just wanted to discuss here, or who knows why you picked them, and who knows why I picked them, but we picked five each, and we're going to kind of like rapid fire, go back and forth, and have kind of like a quick mini discussion about the five films that we picked.
I just realized this is actually oddly similar to, there was on my YouTube channel back at the beginning of COVID, me and three friends did this show called 10-Minute Filmmaking, and it was like, we'd have a topic of discussion every week, and we basically had 2.5 minutes to choose a film and discuss why we thought that film fit that topic, and it would be like a 10-minute episode. It would be so very quick rapid fire, and I just made that connection now. That it's
I
sort of
just
similar.
feel like that's a shameless plug, Cullen. Is that just
Yeah,
a
maybe.
shameless
Yeah, go
plug?
check it out. 10-minute filmmaking.
I feel like it's just a shameless plug. That's okay.
I'll get 0.001 cents for every watch. So
Yeah, it'll be like most residual checks of
Yeah.
my actor friends who'll get like a check for a penny.
Yeah,
it's like worth
exactly.
less than the paper that it was printed on. All right, well, hey, without further ado, then let's dive in, Cullen.
Yeah.
Your first film.
Okay, my first. So I tried to pick things that are not super niche. I didn't want to, just choose some like movie from 1926. That
Show
was
off
only,
your cinephile.
But I did also try to choose movies that I think perhaps most of the listeners and perhaps you as well, either might not have seen or might not have thought about in a long time.
Okay.
So this first movie is called Tony Erdmann. It is a 2016 German comedy. And I first saw this movie when it came out in theaters at TIFF. The TIFF Theater in Toronto will usually have like a host of international movies, not just during the festival, but all year round. That's kind of the best place to go see international stuff in Toronto and indie stuff as well.
Okay.
And it's directed by Maren Ade, I think, or Ade. Her last name is Ade.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I'm mispronouncing things. But it's essentially this. The way that it was pitched to me when we were going to see it with a friend of mine was it's like a German high concept Mrs. Doubtfire. And it's like this.
Wait, wasn't Mrs. Doubtfire already high concept?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
even
higher. So it's about this. It's about this dad who his daughter is like a businesswoman, a really successful businesswoman, but she's incredibly busy and is in constantly in meetings and never really has time for him or anything else. And he's this kind of carefree, I think he's like an art teacher at a school, and he's this old German guy, and he's really funny, and he plays these little characters. But his dog, Willy, as he calls it, winds up dying.
Aww.
And he's like really sad about that. And so he decides to go to Bucharest in Romania to his daughter's like this big, pitch thing that she's doing for her company, and decides to just go and pretend to be this life coach named Tony Erdmann.
Okay.
He just makes up this character,
the title.
and he puts in these fake teeth that are like those weird teeth that you get at the dollar store for Halloween.
Like Billy Bob teeth. Yeah.
He puts in these weird teeth. He has this wig, and he just winds up like showing up at her business meetings and things like that uninvited, or he'll sit in the lobby until she's walking through with a bunch of her, the CEO and this big oil executive, and he'll just kind of walk over and walk along with them. And it's this really, really charming, funny, but incredibly heartfelt movie. It's like a movie that brings me to the verge of tears. It's also really, really long. It's 162 minutes.
Okay,
and
wow.
So everything about it, every sentence seems to not fit the last one. It's this like nearly 3-hour epic about this German dad that follows his daughter to Bucharest, Romania, to basically show her the meaning of being a little bit more carefree by dressing up as this funny character named Tony Erdmann. But no, I would totally. I mean, it's an odd movie also for me to love, because it kind of goes against a lot of things that I normally really like about a movie. In that it's very, very, like, the cinematography is very digital. It's not super, it's pretty desaturated, that very like digital
flat,
look that's flat and sharp.
Super popular when people like when you had like full frame sensors,
yes,
with like reasonable oh geez,
like noise reduction and dynamic range and
reasonable dynamic range, and like they shot raw, and it was almost like there was this weird period of time where it's like I feel like people just like left the raw
almost
footage,
left
like,
it in raw. They would adjust the contrast a little
was,
bit, but yeah,
it was so weird. Yeah, just to digress for a second, it was like dude, that's raw footage. That's not graded. Like, that is not what you were supposed to do, is just like release it.
It looks exactly like that. It's shot, it's not like a mockumentary, but it's shot very mockumentary style, and that a lot of it's handheld and just following the characters around and things like that. And so it's not at all stylistically a movie that I like doesn't really fit with any of the other movies that I chose today, nor movies that I normally like. But it's incredibly heartfelt. The performances are great. I
mean, you've piqued my interest. I definitely want to check it out. I mean,
if you've got 3 hours to spare to watch a German comedy.
I've always got 3 hours to spare.
But it's also it's very bizarre, but it's also really, really, really funny. Like
I
there's a
love
lot of just
bizarre and
great.
funny.
There's a lot of great, very subtle kind of German humor in it.
Well, that
So
dude,
it's not a laugh out loud movie by any means. I mean, I laugh
yeah.
out loud just because I love it so much.
Well,
But
you're kooky.
yes, exactly. But no, I'd say that it's definitely a very it's a great movie. That's all I can
Oh,
really say.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So right off the bat, so you have picked a film that I haven't seen. Not only have I not seen it, I hadn't even heard of it. Now, it's possible that I had heard of it and then forgotten about it because we're sitting at 6-year-old film. It was
Hmm.
nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Academy Awards.
Yes, it was. Yeah, yeah.
And that's probably back at an era of time when I was actually watching the Academy Awards. I haven't seen it in the past couple of years for no other reason than just I'm like,
Yeah, who cares?
No other reason than that. But so I probably was kind of exposed to it, heard about it, something,
Hmm.
and I just never kind of it's like how many films can a person see? Films sadly fall through the cracks, and you miss
Yeah,
them.
especially in theaters. There not a lot of foreign movies play in theaters, and yeah,
Not here in the States for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean you don't get like wide release or even mini
yeah.
release.
I mean, I was really lucky to see it in theaters, but
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
have very easily missed it. So
Well, you're in, Canada, so you guys
yes,
are
yes,
more
exactly.
open-minded up there than we are down here. So, all right, well, now I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. I feel like a certain amount of shame because none of my films are even going to be remotely not obvious films.
Oh yeah,
I,
well
you know,
that's okay. I mean, I love,
so
yeah.
because I thought about it, I thought because when we pick our films for the regular episodes, I try to kind of like thread the needle of I don't want to go against my own taste, and I do in many instances have fairly mainstream taste, and so
Mhm.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm somebody I'm not. And pick these like super obscure, foreign films that three people saw on a Tuesday 5 years ago.
Mhm.
So I stayed true to myself, and basically my criteria was just like what films have really impacted me.
Mhm.
That's kind of like my main criteria. What films do I love? What films have inspired me? When I watch these films, usually or more often when I was younger, when I first saw all these films on my list, it was like I had a sense of awe and amazement, and it made me want to be a filmmaker. So that's my criteria for this.
Mhm.
So the first one on my list is one of the most important films to me as a filmmaker. This film blew my mind in 1994 when it was released. Saw it in theater, and it just, I mean, it just blew my mind open, and that is Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction.
That's funny. I remember seeing that as a very young, probably way too young to see this
Yeah,
movie. But
yeah,
I do
yeah,
remember.
yeah. You had to have been because, dude, so I saw
I
this.
didn't see it in theaters, but I remember being shown it very, very young. Yeah.
So I saw this. This came out in May in '94.
Hmm.
So I would have been just graduating high school
Right.
when this film came out. So you had to have been like a toddler, dude.
No, I wasn't even alive in '94.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's like you weren't even alive.
Yeah.
But this film, I mean, look, I don't need to go into explaining this film because you and everybody else on the planet have already seen this film. So just from a personal perspective, I mean, this film just blew me away on so many levels.
Mhm.
Like it did many people when it was released. I had seen Reservoir Dogs before. That was I was definitely into cinema. Reservoir Dogs had definitely kind of entered my world. I was familiar with that, but I felt like this film was such an elevation, was on such another level. I was just completely captivated by everything about this film.
Mhm.
Literally, I even took two VCRs and re-edited this film on VCRs in chronological order.
I
So
remember how you could do that. Yeah.
yeah, so that I could kind of, in my own mind, as a way to kind of analyze how the non-chronological representation of the story impacted, how you perceived it when you watched
Mhm.
it. So I literally tried my best because this is in an era before internet and before,
Lots of pressing play and pause and pay
and so I,
pause.
yep, and I duped to the tape. Exactly, I duped to the
Yeah.
tape, but this film, it was just the writing blew me away. I thought the dialogue was some of the best, and it was just I guess the best way for me to describe it was that it felt like pure cinema energy, just
Mhm.
like shooting off the screen. and just piercing my heart and mind and soul. It just, everything about this film to me screamed, the person who made this loves cinema as much as you.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, it's almost like, you know how you walk into a room and you meet somebody and somehow there's like just this like electric connection of like your brains seem to be on the same wavelength, and you know, it's just like, wow, you know, it like the conversation elevates like 15, you know, levels because you're both just on fire
and you're finishing each other's
feeding
sandwiches.
Off. Yeah. There you go. And that's what it felt like when I sat in the audience, when I watched Pulp Fiction. And I just felt like, holy crap.
I mean, I remember I was probably 6 or 7 when I saw it for the first time, and it was at a friend's house who had an older brother who always showed us like very violent.
Older brother.
Or we would watch South Park, or we play Gears of War on Xbox, something like that. And this was probably the first time I'd seen a movie. I mean, I'd seen a lot of not kids movies. Again, I grew up watching like Hitchcock with my dad and stuff.
Me
but
too.
This was probably the first time I'd seen that level of like visceral violence in a movie. And I remember it was like this. My parents were never super stingy about what I watched as a kid. They weren't very protective in that way. But I remember like finishing the movie and feeling like I can't tell my parents that I watched this. Like it was like this. It felt like this
naughty.
This, like exactly, and I was like, it just felt so provocative and but in a very good way. I mean,
but it's so funny is that how long has it been since you've seen it? Because if you go back,
I think the last time I watched it was when I was in university in first year, so it's been probably at least 6 or 7 years for me.
I recommend that you watch it again because it's so funny the way you described it, and this is the way that it was kind of
marketed at the time, or not marketed, but
it was received as like a very like, oh my god, it's hyper violent. It's hyper violent. Yeah. This film came out. It was released very closely with a film that Quentin had written but not directed, which was Natural Born Killers. And of course, Oliver Stone directed that film, and he radically changed the script such to the point where Quentin Tarantino basically disowns Natural Born Killers. But both of those films kind of came out at the same time. And there was just this like big media kind of, you know, coverage of the hyper violence in these films. But go back and watch Pulp Fiction. It's
I do remember
actually
it's not
that
actually
violent.
Bad.
It's actually, and especially when you look at in the kind of, you know, put it in the context of today's films, it is like surprisingly benign.
Yeah, totally. And TV, especially because TV sort of went nuts and like Game of Thrones and all those.
Breaking Bad.
It was like every single episode was trying to provoke you into throwing up or something.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
But no, good pick.
Yeah, so it's super obvious, but it just, and it's a film that to this day I can plop it into the Blu-ray player, and I mean, I'll sit down and I'll watch the whole film. I just absolutely love it. I think that there's a tremendous amount of heart in that film.
Definitely.
It feels like a very personal film to me. It is for someone who loves cinema, it feels like such a beautiful love letter to cinema. So yeah, there's my pick number 1, Pulp Fiction.
And I will say, as a quick aside, that even though some of my movies are foreign films and they're not super obvious picks, they are all at least if in my top 10 movies, I would say. Like they're all movies that have influenced me greatly. So I definitely, when I was choosing these, was not just again trying to
I know you weren't. I know
these
you
are all
weren't.
Movies that are still very influential.
You're just
to me.
trying to look cool, Cullen. I know. I've known you long enough. I'm just kidding.
And I say that as my next pick. Yes. I mean, there's a better chance that you've seen this one, but also I wouldn't be shocked if you hadn't. But this is a much better known foreign film called Cachet by Michael Haneke. And cachet is the French word for hidden. And it is this really, really interestingly done. Another one that's not necessarily my pick, but I've stolen so much from this movie in terms of like things that I've done and the way I shoot. But it's essentially about this guy who receives a VHS tape at his front door one day, and it's just a like 3-hour recording of the front of his house. And the whole movie is shot. The opening shot of the movie is that tape, So
Okay.
you get the opening credits over the tape, and then you cut out to them watching it, and you realize, oh, that opening shot was actually the tape that they received.
Okay.
And then the entire movie though is shot like that. It's always camera's always still very observational, just
Ooh.
looking at a scene, and you never know if what you're watching is a tape or if you're watching an actual scene. And so it builds this
Very cool.
paranoia,
So
and it's this really. Oh,
I've heard of it.
go
I've
ahead.
heard of this film, but I have
Yeah.
not seen it. I have definitely heard of it. And you mentioning it now, I'm like, ooh, I'm making a note. I really do want to watch this film. And
Hmm.
I have wanted to watch it in the past. And you have now like reminded me I
Yeah.
really need to see this. But yeah, just
And again,
go
it's one of those movies that's it's stylized, but not in a way that shows off. It's stylized in a
Mm-hmm.
way that serves the purpose of the movie so incredibly well. Um, I again, I've stolen so much from this movie in the way that I've shot scenes, and I think it features, to me, the most shocking scene I've ever
Don't
seen
say
in
a
a
word.
movie.
Don't, okay,
I
then
won't say what it
please,
is, but
please don't ruin that then.
I
Yeah.
won't I won't talk about what happens where.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will say that like if you want to talk about effectively shocking, effectively
Yeah.
putting provocative imagery on screen, that this movie, and you'll know it when you see it,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this movie does it impeccably well. And I like Hanukkah a lot. I think that he's a great director otherwise.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is his best, and also unarguably the one that has influenced me the most, in terms of like the way, just the way that he sets up some of these scenes is so remarkable. And I won't say much more than that, because it's
Wow.
really a great thriller that I would recommend everyone check out, even if
And
you're not super into like foreign films. It's really really remarkable,
well, I
how well
appreciate
it's
you
done.
reminding me that I want to check this out. But like, so I am curious though. I mean, tell me a little bit more about how did you meet this film? Like, what's the
It was
story
actually
of your?
it was similarly, it was in, when I was in first year at U of T. I took a third year cinema studies course, because the first year one, I talked to my professor in the first year one, and I was like, I need to I need to skip this class, essentially, because I like all the movies I'd seen, everything. I still took the class and I did the exam and all that. But I was like, is there any way that you can just kind of write a letter to get me into the upper year courses, because normally you have to take courses beforehand and get into them that way.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And so I wound up getting into like a second and third year course. So thank God for that. My only film education that year wasn't just, going through the top 10 IMDb movies.
Yeah.
And so this was either, I can't remember if it was in the second year or third year course. But it was such an like, I just remember from the moment it started playing, we luckily, my school had this really big theater, like movie theater. And so I was able to see a lot of these movies technically theatrically. And I remember just like from the second it started, I thought it was so
Yeah.
captivating, in how,
It almost
again,
chokes
just
you
the
up. How
fear.
captivating
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
making
It's
me,
just
oh
like
man, it's making me emotional. But just again, the way that you never know, like, I think a really good thriller makes the audience as paranoid and scared as the characters are, and this truly
Yeah.
does that, because you never know, again, if you're watching a scene from the movie or a tape that
The
is in the movie
voyeur.
that is being filmed. So it's just that's really all I can say about it without getting into
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Well,
spoilers, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody,
ooh.
but I would 100% recommend watching it. It's not super
Yeah.
long. It's under 2 hours by 2 minutes. So yeah.
I thank you for recommending that, because I'm always looking for, this is almost like I feel like I'm getting some good recommendations from you. So yeah, this has been on my list. I have forgotten about it. And because I'm always like adding movies to my list, but then like things kind of fall off, again, there's just like only so much time, and I have this weird thing where I love rewatching films. So sadly, it's like not only is there not enough time for me to watch every film that I want to watch, but then like for some reason I'm compelled to watch some films multiple times. Which
Oh,
takes
don't
up-
worry. I like rewatching. I just rewatched the whole Ocean's trilogy
Yeah.
again recently. So.
Nice. If you haven't already, listen to Soderbergh's commentary track on the
Yes.
first one.
Yeah.
He is actually a very lucid and entertaining commentary giver. But
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So on to my number 2. So again, this is so unbelievably commonplace. I feel like if this were a video game and your character had just opened like a like a treasure chest thing or whatever, this would be like the common, like it's not rare, it's not legendary, it's like super common,
Mhm.
is 1982's Ridley Scott's Blade Runner.
Oh yeah. We've talked about
So,
this before too. Yeah.
so yeah, we haven't done an episode on it,
No,
but
no.
so, and again, it's like, look, I know that this is, it's everybody and their brother knows about this film, has seen this film by now, especially by now. But when I saw this film, that wasn't really the case when I first saw this film. I saw this when I was probably like about a freshman or so in high school, and I saw this film in the worst way that you could possibly see it. And I actually ended up really not connecting to this film. I ended up disliking it a lot. So A, it was the theatrical cut. B, it was on VHS. C, it was on a like a 15-inch CRT screen. So obviously that's 4:3.
The old bubble screen.
So all of the things that make this film great, its production design, its cinematography, was so stripped from the film when I saw it, because I saw it in such a horrible way. But even more than that, I felt like the film was tremendously cold. I felt like it was not an emotionally connecting story. I did, like, on every level I didn't like it. And I actually, a good buddy of mine was liked the film, and we watched it at his place. He's like, oh, I got this, you should check this out. And I really just didn't connect with it. Now, fast forward 4 or 5 years later, and I'm a freshman in college. And it was one of our like first, like film 101, whatever. And so I got to see this film in a theater. Now, it was Laserdisc, which is like, that was the best thing that they had back when I was a little kid. So it's still like 480, but at least it's P, and at least it's, it's a lot better than VHS. And I saw it on a big screen, and I was blown away. And this was still the theatrical cut, okay? And I was freaking blown away. And then, of course, now I've seen, I've got the 4K final cut without the, narration. And I mean, and it's just outstandingly beautiful. But this film is the film that really made me understand the importance of a few aspects of filmmaking. Production design. I really had never seriously considered the impact and the storytelling possibilities with production design before this film. I mean, every time I watch a science fiction film, every time I watch any film, frankly, I'm like hoping, I'm praying that the production design is even half, even a quarter, even a tenth of the quality of this film. And sadly, they very rarely are. But this, I mean, it's just, you can watch this film 100 times, and the amount of detail and storytelling that's in the production design of this film, of every frame, I mean, it's just, and then you combine that with the just masterful cinematography. I mean, Jordan Cronenworth shot the film, but of course Ridley Scott is like right there, working so closely. I mean, Ridley in his own way is a really outstanding cinematographer. And I mean, I feel like he is basically a production designer, almost as much or more as he is a director, frankly.
Yeah.
So you really get a sense of his fingerprints all over both aspects of this film. But just
Vangelis score.
Oh God, yeah, and it is my favorite score of any film all time ever. Full stop, bar none. Period. I have like every version of this score you could ever, like, all the bootleg cuts where it's like, every single little piece of music that Vangelis ever did that's like not in the original official release.
Yeah, the kind of complete recordings.
Yep. I mean, you name it, dude. I've got it. I am just the combination of all these factors, and now I feel like with the narration removed, I feel like the story is also moving and well told as well, and it's it's actually a very human and warm story. The things that I missed, and I did get to see it in Los Angeles on the big screen, theatrical release, film. A couple of years ago, and it was just
I've
amazing.
never gotten to see it on film, but I've seen it in theaters. I got to see it in a 4K re-release. Final cut.
So that's it's just one of my all-time favorite films. It's a film that I go back to, if I ever want inspiration on production design or inspiration on cinematography, I go back to this film. I just absolutely adore this film.
Yeah, it's great. So my next one is better known. It's by probably a director you might have heard of one or two times, Spielberg.
Oh, wait, who's that? What?
But no, I also wanted to choose for Spielberg. This is a movie. This is one of my favorite Spielberg movies, and definitely my favorite of his.
1941.
In this century, 1941. Yeah. But I think it's so often overlooked when people discuss him, and
Okay.
I think that it really is one of his best ones.
Yeah.
But Munich,
Whoa!
from 2005.
I was not expecting that. What?
Really, yeah. I really love Munich. I think that it's
Oh, please do tell.
not only is it to me a movie that really asks such an interesting question of like politics and inherited politics and why people believe the things that they do, and like, but who's really benefiting from those beliefs, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that it's also him, like every single shot in this movie is just like Spielberg at his A game on his prime. Like, you see some of these bits where it'll be a really slow zoom out from someone standing on a balcony into a car window that has a reflection of a character walking over to the car, who then gets into the car, and then we go up and follow the car door open, which then leads us to a car driving by, and we see the next character going into that car, and it's like every single shot is so insanely well composed. It's just like I think one of the best blocked movies in the world. John Williams, who does the score for it, does something that's really, really remarkable and interesting, and not very John Williamsy. There's no like big brass or anything like that. It's all very low key kind of music.
Yeah.
The cast is fantastic. Eric Bana and Daniel Craig and Ciarán Hinds, among so many others that are really great. I think Janusz Kaminski does an incredibly wonderful job. It's his typical bleach bypass look that was really popular for him back in that era.
All
when he
of
did
Spielberg's
like Minority
films,
Report
yep.
and Saving Private Ryan and all that.
Yep.
But it also, I think, looks incredible. It captures, like, I think it is the best 70s paranoid like political thriller that was made outside of the 70s.
Wow.
It combines all the things I love about the 70s paranoid, political thriller, like The Conversation or all the President's Men, and just kind of turns them up and amps them up, and so it's a movie that not only do I think that the idea and the themes are really pertinent and all the more relevant today, but also it's a movie that I think is so stylish and really, to me, proves why Spielberg is at the echelon that he is in film history. And I always point to this movie whenever somebody says that he hasn't made a good movie since the 90s or whatever. I'm always like, go watch Munich, which I also disagree with. I think that bar a few, I think most of Spielberg's are at least good.
Yeah. Well, he's the victim of his own success.
Yes,
right?
Yes, very much, yeah.
It's kind of like the Rolling Stones. It's like after a while, you're so good for so long that people take you for granted, and it's like,
Yeah, whereas if somebody else directed one of the movies that he's made in the past 20 years, they'd be like, what the hell? Who's this new guy? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you can just be the victim of your own success. Well, that's interesting. So you totally caught me off guard. So I definitely have seen this film. I watched this film when it was released. I'm also, a fan of Spielberg. I mean, especially having grown up when he was really in his heyday. He made some of my favorite movies as a child. But I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised at this choice. I do have to admit that I don't remember much about the film. You've inspired me to watch it again, to rewatch it. But I do not remember being particularly, moved or impressed. But, a lot of times my like set and setting is so vital for my enjoyment of a film. And I do remember watching the film, though. I remember watching this film like with a couple roommates. Like, my roommate had rented it on DVD, and we were like hanging out watching it. And I think it was like I was distracted, and kind of people were talking a little bit, so it was like not an ideal viewing situation for me. And I think my head was only kind of halfway in it.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so I definitely, your praises, hearing your praises of this film now makes me want to go rewatch this film.
And it wasn't the first time that I'd seen it, but I did actually get a chance to see this in 35 millimeter as well.
Yeah.
Which I think it's so funny that 12 years ago that wouldn't have been special because everything was
I know. Yeah.
projected
Yeah.
in 35.
Exactly. It's
But
like, dude,
being able to
almost.
see it these days, I
Yeah.
think it makes me miss it that much more when you could just go to a movie theater and it was projected on film. But
It's like, hey, do you want to know a secret? Every movie I ever saw at the theater,
I mean, even as a kid, until I was
film.
12 years old, every
Yeah.
single thing I saw was projected on film. But no, I would definitely, if you haven't seen this movie, because it's not, I wouldn't say it's like any of Spielberg's movies are necessarily lesser known.
Yeah.
But I would say in his filmography, this one is definitely one that's talked about less.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I would recommend seeing it. If you haven't watched it for a while and you remember, I also agreed that when the first time I ever saw this movie, I wasn't thrilled with it. But I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times at this point.
It's grown on you, huh?
Every time I've watched it again and again, I've liked it more and more. And especially like even if you're not interested in the politics of it or anything like that, which were controversial at the time as well. That just the craftsmanship behind this movie is like, incredible. Just pay attention to the way that he crafts each scene, that he blocks each scene, the way that it really again proves why he's just such a filmmaker on another level. And yeah, that's why it was my third pick.
Okay, well, fantastic. I had a hunch there was going to be a Spielberg flick in here. And I thought maybe there would be like 3/4 of this was going to be Spielberg from you, but no. I'm excited to go back and take a look at that. All right, so my number 3, still not an obscure film, but I would say probably less seen than my previous picks thus far, and that is Bob Fosse's 1979 All That Jazz.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love that one.
So I think we've talked about this one before. We've not done an episode on it. But, this one I did not see. I was 3 years old when it was theatrically released, so I did not see this in the theater. As a matter of fact, I didn't even see this of my own accord the first time I watched it. I am not a fan of musicals. I never have been. And I just, some people love musicals. Some people don't dig musicals. I just have never really connected much to musicals. And yes, I have seen, I've kind of been forced to sit through a handful of musicals. So it's not that I haven't seen any. I just really generally, it's a genre of film that I just don't usually gravitate towards. It just doesn't usually connect me. It's not, I love music. I love film. You think maybe I might like the two. I generally just don't.
There are a lot of bad musicals, to be fair.
Well, there are a lot of bad films, period.
General, yes.
But yes, then there are a lot of bad musicals, but even musicals that people claim to, say they're wonderful. But I am going to give Spielberg's West Side Story a stab, though. I'm going to check it out.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I've got a screener. For SAG-AFTRA awards. So finally they started doing those more online, so I can actually watch it in HD. As opposed to they send out,
like a DVD, right?
Yeah. They still send out DVDs. I'm like, people haven't watched 480p DVDs in like 15 years, guys. Yeah. What in the world are you doing? Hey, if anybody out there is listening from SAG-AFTRA, will you please get with 2021 or 2 or whatever year it is this year? I mean, who in the hell watches DVDs? Send out Blu-rays, people. Okay, but back to this. So I'm not a fan of musicals, but this movie totally blew my socks off, man. First time I saw this film was in college in a film class, and I remember going into it being like, oh God, we got to watch it. I have to watch a musical. Oh God, this sucks. And dude, it was just from the beginning. Cause I was like, wait, Roy Schneider? Wait, Roy Scheider from Jaws? Like, what in the hell is he doing in a musical? The dude can't dance. He can't sing. What is going on here? And I just was like, and then from that point on, I don't know what it is, but it felt like it was almost like the anti-musical.
Yeah, it's so stylish and kinetic and
it was like I actually liked the songs, I actually liked the music, I thought the characters were compelling. That got me interested in Fosse. I didn't even know anything about Bob Fosse before that, and the impact that he had on dance and choreography, and that this was like autobiographical, and the whole third act where he's like dying. I mean, I just absolutely loved this film. I just feel like it's a beautiful film, I think, and now having kind of gone through, a little bit of a life of performance myself. I've never done musical theater, but I have definitely done a decent amount of theater. I've been on
Hmm.
stages in front of audiences. I've auditioned before. I know what rehearsal is like. I know what being a performer is like a bit. And that life is just interesting to see somebody's take on that kind of lifestyle. But just everything about this film, I absolutely love. This meditation on death, and this whole third act to me is just like so extraordinary. The different numbers as he's going through these stages of denial and then acceptance of his own mortality
Hmm.
just speaks to something that I'm personally like kind of obsessed with a little bit,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
too
yeah.
much, but yeah, it's a film that I go back to every couple years. I'll watch it. There's a great edition out on Criterion Collection, and it's just a really moving film to me. It has like stuck in my head ever since the first time I saw it in college. I think Roy Scheider is fantastic. Jessica Lange is just angelic. Anne Reinking, who of course was like a protege of Fosse's, and I think they had a relationship too. Like she's just fantastic in this film. Her dance.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not even like really big into kind of like dance or anything, but I'm just like mesmerized by Fosse's style of choreography in this film. The dance is just exquisite. There you go.
It's funny because my next pick is it's not a musical, but it's also a dance movie.
Oh, okay.
So this one is a movie that I think is both the best dance movie of all time,
Ooh.
one of the best documentaries of all time.
Breaking to Electric
Uh,
Boogaloo.
exactly. I love that
Yes.
hospital scene when all the
Oh
pregnant
God, I
ladies get up
knew
and
it.
start dancing.
I knew
Um,
it.
and I think it is the best 3D movie of all time.
Oh,
And
whoa.
this is
Okay.
Wim Wenders' 2011 documentary Pina,
Okay, this
which
is
is
I
all
haven't seen it.
about it's all about the contemporary dance choreography Pina Bausch, who was a dance choreographer, a really famous one. Who is I actually don't know a ton about her, funnily enough, because this movie is not just a documentary about her. It hardly goes into talking heads or anything like that. It's not that at all. It's literally just her dances and these incredible productions of her dances,
Oh
all
wait,
shot
what
in
was the name of the
3D.
film again?
Pina, Pina,
Okay.
from 2011, and it's shot in 3D. You can get obviously 2D versions, but I would 100%, if you ever have the chance to watch this movie in 3D, then go for it, because it is the first time. I'm not big on 3D. There are very few movies that I think are interesting in 3D, and one of them
Yeah.
is Dial M for Murder, which is
A-
actually shot in 3D. The
Another
Hitchcock movie
one
from the
is
50s.
surprisingly Werner Herzog's Cave of
Yep,
Forgotten Dreams.
exactly. And Wim Wenders and Herzog are both contemporaries.
Yep.
They both were part of the German kind of new wave.
Yes.
Um, but it is the way that this movie is blocked. Like it's blocked like it is this incredible, almost like a Bergman film, or there's these
Mm-hmm.
incredible senses, like this incredible sense of depth that's used with the 3D. And even if you don't get to see it in 3D, I would really recommend watching it either way.
Yeah.
Because the camera work is remarkable. I'm not a dance person at all. I can't dance, nor do I. I've seen Swan Lake and stuff,
Yeah.
but I've never really been like, I'm not like a guy that's super into dance.
Right. Right.
But this will really make you,
Appreciate the.
it'll make you a dance person for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Wow.
And I just like, again, it's so hard to describe because there's no plot to it. It's just I think it's 3 or 4 of her most famous pieces.
Okay.
But it's not her. Like, it's not just recordings of the performances. It's like they're out in like parks, going through trees. One of them's like on a beach. One of them is on a stage, but the stage is covered in sand, and the lighting is remarkable. The cinematography is remarkable. Wim Wenders' direction is remarkable. It's like, if I actually have a job. I was supposed to do the job last year, but COVID canceled it, where I'm basically doing a virtual dance recital with this dance school near me. And I showed them this, and I was like, this is, if you want to do something that's remarkable and that is made for film, like dance made for film, as opposed to just filming a stage while they dance around on it. I was like, watch this and choreograph like this, and use the camera the way that this movie uses the camera, where the camera is part of the dancing, where it's like part of, and that's one of the things that makes the 3D so remarkable too. But yeah, I just, this one will be a little bit of a shorter one just because there's not a lot of plot to go into.
Yeah.
But I would 100% recommend, if you have the chance to watch this movie. It's not available in too many places, but if you find it, watch it. To spend an evening watching it, and if by nothing else, you'll be blown away by the direction and the cinematography in it. And again, the 3D is incredible, but I know that that's a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, that's a little hard to replicate. Well, I mean, it sounds intriguing, and I'll put that to my list too. And this is a film that, again, I haven't seen. I am familiar with. I feel like I have the kind of the poster is iconic, and I feel like I have seen that somewhere, and I feel like I have heard of that at some point, but I have not watched it. But it sounds intriguing. I'll add that to the list, man. So wow, I'm only batting 1 out of 4 so far. 25%.
I think you will see my next one. You have a chance. I think you might have seen my next one.
I think there's a possibility that you've seen my next one.
We shall see.
It's I know you watch a lot of films, so unlike many people, you have maybe a better chance. Not many people saw this film. It didn't do very well at the box office. It's pretty much, and it's really hard to find today. Now, strangely, they did make a couple sequels. So, which is weird because they don't usually make sequels for films that are so obscure.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? So my next film, and I think this is my 4th film, is 1985's Bob Zemeckis' Back to the Future.
Oh, that was the indie film, right? I don't
think
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
Indie.
So, I mean, it couldn't be more different than, your last film. I mean, talk about like going from one end of the spectrum to the other. But look, I get it. This is as Hollywood studio mainstream a movie as you can possibly pick. I get it. I know. But talk to the 10-year-old Clark and see if he gives a damn about any of that. Because when I was in the theater and I saw this film, it filled my heart with awe.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else you can say. I was so captivated, like so many other kids in that era, and like so many people who've seen the film since. I was just absolutely mesmerized, captivated. From
every kid wants to be Marty McFly.
The script is tight. There is, if you want to study setups and payoffs and story, then you can't do better than this script. It is just an extremely efficient, well-told story. It is just shot with absolute technical excellence. And so much of the technical side of filmmaking, special effects, were pioneered with this film, and with its sequel, especially Back to the Future 2, pioneered some extraordinary special effects. And so that part of me is super interested in these films.
And it's really funny.
Zemeckis has
it's a really funny movie.
and it's really a funny movie. Its pacing is perfect. I could go on and on and on, but my alarm tone on my phone is that the freaking title sequence, the opening,
The diddly-diddly-doo. That one?
No, the oh gosh, it's like the big sweeping.
Oh, the
theme
brass.
that,
Yeah.
That. And
it was my go-to Halloween costume for like 3 years straight. Marty McFly.
I love it. I could totally see that. The mustache doesn't work now. You'd have to shave
this was
that
back
off.
in high school.
But yeah, get you like a big puffy vest,
it's over in my closet right now. So
that's awesome. So look, everybody's seen the film. I don't need to go into it, but I think Zemeckis as a director is often overlooked when cinephiles kind of talk about directors, because he definitely makes mainstream films. A lot of people will laugh and joke about films like Forrest Gump, but he has really pushed the technical boundaries of filmmaking. He's a pioneer, and I think that's worth looking at. And he's made some really, I think, extraordinary films, some really interesting films. This, I think, stands at the very zenith of his achievement. But Back to the Future is just one of those films where, as a kid, I'm just sitting in the seat, and I'm just like just completely experiencing awe
Yeah.
for an hour and a half.
It was one of my favorites as a kid too. It still is.
Yeah.
I remember. And I think the thing is too that there's so many people who are kind of naysayers about popular cinema because it's like they feel like if they enjoy something that the bulk of people also enjoy,
Yeah.
that they're somehow less exclusive.
Yep.
But there's a big reason why these movies are famous and popular, and it's not because they're bad.
Yep.
It's a masterclass in that era of like that. I call it kind of the Amblin era, even though Amblin wasn't involved in all of these movies. But
well, of course, but Amblin did produce this though.
Yes,
this
is
produced
Spielberg
by Amblin.
But it's one of those things that it's like it's just a masterclass in really accessible cinema, but at the same time, really, really high quality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost, and I think the value there is that it almost introduces people who otherwise wouldn't see such like high quality cinema to what that can be like, and is almost like a bridge into perhaps a more obscure line of filmmaking. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Me. I mean, I grew up on Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future. I mean, E.T. I grew up on these films, but that planted the seed that filled my heart with love of cinema, and it planted the seeds for me as I grew up to really want to delve into cinema, well beyond those kinds of films.
Yeah.
So it worked. It absolutely.
Exactly.
That's what it did for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my fifth and final movie is I think it's my my second English language one, but it is considered one of the greatest movies of all time. It is an older movie though, so a lot of people may have missed it just because it is from 1941. But it's Sullivan's Travels, which is directed by Preston Sturges. It starred Joel McCrea and Veronica Lake.
Okay.
And it is a movie that I remember I was given it in like grade 10 at a birthday party.
Wow.
One of my friends just like gave me the Criterion for it.
That's such a random gift for like a 10-year-old.
I mean, this friend always gives me strange. No, I was in grade 10. I wasn't 10 years old.
Grade 10. Yeah. Okay. For a second, I misheard you.
15, 16.
And I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me at 10 years old, somebody gave you
Sullivan's Travels from
1941. Okay, sure.
But
okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
It's a comedy. I mean, it's about this guy who he's like this Hollywood director who wants to make a movie about like homeless people and stuff like that. And he decides to basically go on this trek across America to experience the homeless world and like to be train hopping and have a little pack on your back and stuff like that. And so it begins as this. If you haven't watched comedies from this era, watch comedies from this era because they are all hilarious. Like they are, you might think that they are dated, but they're such time capsules. They make me laugh harder than most comedies that come out today. And that's not just me saying like, oh, I've got such distinct taste. They are legitimately, I can watch this with friends and they will all be like, falling over backwards laughing because they take so much from vaudeville. Yes. And it's like timeless humor.
Yeah.
So firstly, the opening scene of this movie is one of the funniest scenes in any movie.
Yeah.
But then it just turns into this movie that becomes so incredibly heartfelt. And it's really been an inspiration for me in terms of blending style and tone.
Okay.
Because it has the famous scene where they're in the South, and they're in a black church. And
don't give too much away.
Yeah, I won't give too much away, but there's this moment where it's a very famous scene, and then these prisoners are marched in, and they're singing "Let My People Go," the biblical song. And it's like this insanely emotional, like heart-wrenching scene in this 1940s comedy that's like this almost like a screwball comedy about this director who's just trying like getting into antics and Three Stooges style kind of thing. But it becomes really heartfelt. It's got a really incredible, message for lack of a better term. It's in the performances are great. It's not hard to get through by any means. It's not like it doesn't feel dated at all. The cinematography is great. It's black and white, of course, but it's that beautiful, rich,
God, I love black
almost
and white.
noirish black and white. And it's one of those. It comes from that era where every single person on set, because there was no digital to depend on, you couldn't check the dailies immediately. You couldn't,
Right.
you didn't have a focus puller looking at a monitor.
Nope.
Every single person on set was it was the most skilled practitioner of what they did.
Yeah.
And every shot is
Real craftspeople.
with incredible accuracy in terms of lining up that focus and pushing that camera forward. If you're dollying, then you are dollying, and it's like everyone is on their A game, yeah, there's too much to say about this movie. I could spend an hour talking about this movie, but
yeah, well, maybe we can pick it another time.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it definitely deserves. It's regarded as one of the best movies ever made. It's regarded as a masterpiece.
I feel so shameful that I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's fantastic though. It's on Criterion. I'm not sure if it's on the Criterion channel, but
I'm gonna go check it out.
Collection definitely has a version.
Yeah,
because I own it somewhere. It's in one of my collections.
I'm hopeful that it's on the. I'm hopeful that it's on the channel. And which I love. Just
and the cinematographer, if I'm not mistaken, was the same cinematographer who did what is it? It's John F. Seitz.
Yep.
And what was he did Sunset Boulevard, he did Double Indemnity, so a lot of those noir movies.
Oh my god, he shot a million films. If you look at his
everyone back then,
if
you look at filmography of like anyone back in the day, that was like, even directors, they all had like hundreds of movies that were under their belt because they were turning them out,
just
6 a year.
Yeah.
So I would definitely, again, 100% recommend this movie. No surprise, these were the 5 movies that we chose, but that's my final one, and now we're on to your final one.
All right. So again, it's a film that nowadays, and especially with people like Quentin Tarantino heaping so much praise on this film and mentioning it as a significant inspiration for him, I think that now everybody sees this film as an important classic and a milestone in cinema. But back when I was a little kid and I was watching TV, like the Sunday afternoon movie with my father, that none of that really existed. It was just a kind of like a spaghetti western that happened to be pretty good, and it was a fun film, and it did have Clint Eastwood in it, so it was known. But yeah, now it's kind of reached this like huge space in the canon. But my final pick is 1966's Sergei Leone's masterpiece, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Classic. I actually watched this not too long ago too.
And there's some really extraordinary. The latest restoration on 4K is like just absolutely magnificent. But basically that's the story. Spaghetti westerns. I grew up watching these films. They were films that my dad loved, and they were the films that were on the Sunday afternoon like movie marathon on Channel 11 in St. Louis, and so I grew up watching these films, and I loved, it was almost like a cartoon come real to me, with these exaggerated camera moves and zooms and these like really colorful characters that almost required no language whatsoever. You could turn the sound off on this movie and you knew everything, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy, what. But it was so epic in scope, and I was just so captivated by this. It was I don't know what else to say. I was just mesmerized by this film, and now that I've watched it later multiple times as an adult, of course I appreciate so much more about this film. But yeah, that's my 5th film. I know you've seen it. It sounds like you agree that you're a fan of the film. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is also a movie that's so easy to show people of younger generations.
Yeah, it works.
And get them into, like, again, it's a timeless movie.
Yep.
And I've never had any trouble showing people in like the high schoolers in my class this.
Because the characters are such archetypes. It's so that's what I mean, is that it translates language. You don't really, you could show this to somebody in so many different countries and with different languages. And I think, so much of this translates. I think you get so much of it. And so for a young child, a lot of it translated, and it's
a great opportunity to also go back to even kind of take it as a jumping off point to like the old Kurosawa movies that really inspired this. And
absolutely,
I think that's such a fascinating period of filmmaking, because it was like John Ford inspired Kurosawa, who inspired Sergio Leone, and it was like this feedback loop, who then went on to inspire George Lucas, who
I agree. I just and I love, this is one of the first films where like really actively remember like an anti-hero, and so that was like really compelling to me, because before I'm kind of like, it's like Luke Skywalker, or but to have this like reluctant hero, this anti-hero, that was just like so compelling to me. And, Clint Eastwood's performance, the man with no name, this like almost silent protagonist, was just so, I was like, oh my God, he's so cool. I want to be that, Yes. It was just the epic scope of it. And, everything about this film is so fun to me. And, what can I say? Yeah, it's another film that really inspired me as a child.
And check out the other two from the trilogy as well.
Yeah, and I have, and they're wonderful too. But I picked one. I had to pick one, and so I feel kind of like the first two films were kind of like, I don't want to go so far as to say practice for this one, but they definitely get better as they go. There's
a reason why this one's the most famous one.
And there's a reason why this one is the most famous. But they are absolutely all worth watching. I think they've all been really well restored. As I remember watching them as a kid, and it was like everything. They look like crap when I watched them as a kid.
It's so funny too, because this is an R-rated movie. And I remember seeing this on a shelf. We were staying.
Is it really? I didn't even know that.
It's R-rated? It was on we had it on VHS. The first time I saw it was at this like bed and breakfast in like Nova Scotia or something, and it was on they had a selection of VHSs, and it was R. And I remember being like so scared to put it in, because I thought I was gonna see all this crazy like violence. And it's so tame by like any standards.
It's so tame. I'm shocked that it's R. I'm like, what is R about it? Like, I don't. Is there even like, because I'm trying to think, it's not really got language that would make it R, right? And
I'd assume it's mostly just the violence, but there's not really much blood in it. But I assume it was
almost none. It's that old fashioned, like you'd get shot and just kind of fall over.
The railing.
Yeah. So but you are right. Fistful of dollars and a few dollars more, they're definitely also worth. And then of course the soundtrack. I mean, like it defined
Westerns to this day.
Yeah. I just you just can't get better. So anyway, awesome. Well, this has been fun. I'm excited. I've got a few films to add to my list. I'm excited to see or re-see, as the case may be. I'm gonna go back and check out Munich. But this was enjoyable. We'll have to figure out what we're doing for our 100th.
Oh
my gosh, yeah, we'll have to figure that out. And hey, by the way, just because I still get to pick the film for next time, so we don't skip we don't get skipped. So so next time it will get to be my choice. Who knows? Maybe I'll pick one of these. But we hope that you enjoyed this as much as we did. I know I had a blast, and we always appreciate you checking out our musings on film, because we enjoy doing it. We hope you enjoyed listening to it. Until next time, Cullen, have a wonderful week or two, depending on how long it might be. And for everybody else out there, look forward to next time. See you then.
Yeah, bye-bye.